I'm Kusha Karvandi, and you're listening to Extrascribe Radio, the source for biohacking your health to reach your full potential. I created Extrascribe to provide people with a roadmap to working out. With our new workout app, you can get a custom workout program that adapts your workouts to your body type, goals, sleep quality, stress levels, and personal preferences. With live chat support, our workout app has become so comprehensive some call it a personal trainer in your pocket. Our users are seeing over 90% success rates with their goals because we take the neural approach to fitness, meaning we integrate movements and exercises that recalibrate your brain and body to prime you for rapid strength gains and fat loss. Check out the Extrascribe workout app in the iTunes App Store today. In today's podcast, I interview QiGong Master Tristan Truscott. As a young man, Tristan became involved in the martial arts where he began his study of the mind-body-spirit connection. After many years of dedicated training, Tristan was granted the coveted level of black belt and went on to build a thriving martial arts academy with over 300 students. In the year 2000, Tristan was forced to end his career due to a crippling back injury. Even after 5 years of intense pain, $10,000 worth of alternative healing treatments, and an unsuccessful $90,000 surgery, Tristan was still unable to walk properly, let alone teach again. In spite of the pain and disappointment, Tristan pushed onward, reading and studying everything he could about the power of the subconscious mind, visualization, affirmation, meditation, Qigong healing, and the law of attraction. One day, after years of research, trial and error, and wonderful aha moments, Tristan finally had his breakthrough. He discovered how to allow the flow of life force energy, combined with the power of his own mental focus, to reverse his condition and expedite his healing. This exciting discovery of how the mind-body-spirit connection worked gave Tristan the ability to fully recover from the injury that had crippled him for so many years. In a desire to share this information with others, Tristan went on to create programs with his wife Sabrina for healing the mind and strengthening the body using ancient and contemporary mind-body-spirit exercises. These programs have evolved into what's known as the Satori Method. Today, Tristan loves helping people grow physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. It is a joy for him to give back and share what he has learned through his life challenges. Since his healing, Tristan built a new mind-body transformation and healing center with over 450 students and co-created the online Satori Method Academy. Hey everyone, we're here on Extrascribe Radio with the co-founder of the Satori Method Academy, Tristan Truscott. Welcome, Tristan.
Hey, how are you doing?
Good, good. So just to get started, could you tell the audience a little bit about you and your background?
Well, where do you want to start? Should we start with Malibu and martial arts?
Yeah, let's start there.
Originally, I'm from England, and my mom and dad separated when I was a young lad. I was about 9 when we moved to America, and I was extremely shy. Had a very strong British accent, and I got way too much attention for having this accent, and I wanted to lose it as fast as I could. It was pretty cool. My mom remarried, and we moved to Malibu, California, where I learned to become a surfer, and I easily got rid of the English accent. The reason I didn't like it was just too much attention. I was very self-conscious, and my body started to develop some very strange conditions, which today we would call psychosomatic. My palms would sweat like all the time, especially, of course, when I was nervous. At night, I had so much stress in my body that I would grind my teeth. I mean, there were some mornings I would wake up and my teeth would hurt and I'd have like little pieces of teeth. So there was a lot of stress in this little kid being uprooted from England coming to America. I didn't know what baseball was or skateboarding or any of this stuff, so I felt totally off. But fortunately, my mom enrolled me in a martial art class in Malibu, and it was something I'd always wanted to do because I wanted to overcome my fear, and I wanted to feel strong, and I wanted to feel confident like the other kids at school. So I joined a martial arts school, and I was very blessed that it was run by 2 black belts who got their belts from Chuck Norris. So, you know, Walker Ranger, he had trained these guys. They were awesome fighters. One of them, Mr. Bob Burbage, he was a 3-time international karate champion. And he would fight every year at I think it was called the Internationals, and it was where Bruce Lee first debuted his 1-inch punch. So it was a pretty, you know, high-level competition. And this guy, the fact that he'd won 3 years in a row, mentally, it was very significant. So I had really good training, And that's really where I started on the health and fitness journey, was in the dojo, you know, the discipline, the focus, the really learning to sculpt how I moved my body. And I did become confident. You know, I worked very, very hard, and just under 5 years, I got my black belt. But the weirdest thing about the whole thing, like, I thought that I would really conquer my fear. I think I conquered it on a physical level, but I still felt self-consciousness on the inside. Like, I felt very uncomfortable asking a girl out on a date still. So I didn't feel like I was a black belt of life yet. That's how it all started.
So, how did the Satori method come about?
Wow, that was just so many years of cultivating my own path. You know, we're all, I think, our own artists and our own best teacher over time. I was looking for a system or way of living. How about that? And surfing was great. I loved the lifestyle of Malibu, although you can become a little bit of a surf bum if you're not careful. And I think you get that being out in Southern California. You know what that's like. And I had great training, obviously, in the dojo, and I had great training at school, and I had awesome parents. And they always taught me to forge my own way, you know, be my own person, and not be a follower. So I always looked for what worked for Tristan. And so the Satori method came a little bit later in my life after getting the black belt. I felt that there were a lot of moving parts to health and to fitness and to mindset. And, you know, I was always the perpetual student, taking as many classes as I could. I'm sure you're the same way. Study, 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 study. And then you have all this information. How do you aggregate it together into a way that makes sense for you and your lifestyle? So Satori is a beautiful word. It means awakening. It's like a breakthrough or an insight. It's a Zen term where everything becomes clear. And I wanted clarity of all of the things that I was learning, and I wanted a method. So eventually I came up with the name Satori Method, and it was a fusion, it still is a fusion of everything that I think will keep me healthy for my body, for my mind, and for my spirit. So that's how that all came together.
And how does Qigong and some of these Chinese practices play into that?
You know, it's very interesting. I had a back injury in the year 2000. My martial arts school, I moved to Austin, Texas, and kind of got out of being the surf bum, and followed some friends that were looking for a new place to live, and we ended up in Austin, which is an incredible city. Don't come here. There's too many people. 180 people or something like that moving here a day right now. It's crazy. I moved here about 22 years ago, and I opened a dojo. I'd had a dojo in California, and so relocated, and I just knew that I was going to have an amazing school. So eventually I built my school up to about 300, 350 students, and it was in the year 2000 that I had my back injury. And it was pretty severe, and it went on for 5 years. And not everybody knows my story, but there was a point where I really couldn't walk. And there was one day that I tried everything alternative. I'm incredibly alternative. I'm sure you guys get that. Mind, body, spirit. That's my path. And I never went to the doctor. I never needed to go to the doctor. I never got sick, and if I ever did, I could heal myself with herbs. I had an incredible herbal teacher as a boy in Malibu. His name was Dr. Richard Schultz. Some of you may have heard of him. Incredible teacher. But anyway, I never got sick, but all the things I was trying to heal my back weren't working. And I even had a $90,000 surgery for my back in Beverly Hills. And I was worse off after the surgery. And so one day, I was back in Austin, I was in my room, I was crawling on the floor just to try to get to the frickin' bathroom. And you ever have those moments, I mean, I'm sure some listeners have it, where you just feel like, man, I don't even know what else to try. I've tried everything, and I'm ready to throw in the towel, which I'd never had that thought before, because my karate teacher, he was, like I told you, fighter. He would yell at us, "You show me a quitter, I'll show you a loser." And I'm crawling on the floor, man, and I'm thinking, I don't know if I could keep doing this, you know? My life, my identity had been taken. I was a fighter. I was a trainer. I was so strong. Nothing left, man. And I heard that voice, and then I heard him, you know, "You show me a quitter, I'll show you a loser." And I just, in my deepest, you know, that dark night of the soul, was I got to keep going. And I surrendered, man. I surrendered to something way bigger than myself. And it was the first time that I think I really had a connection with what I would call the divine, where I was like, if you could heal me, if you could show me how to get out of this mess, I'll do everything to pay it forward. That's really what my life's about today, is helping people that feel challenged. They're going through hard times like that, whatever area of life. It doesn't just have to be physical. And within about a week, I found myself in a Qigong class. So that's kind of metaphysical, but something in me shifted, and something said, all right, man, let's help this kid. Let's get him to something that could help him. And so I was training with a guy who was visiting from China, and he was an incredible martial artist. And I'd heard about Tai Chi, and I'd made fun of it for most of my life. I made fun of meditation, I made fun of Tai Chi, and I made fun of Qigong. How ironic that I teach them now. Because I was into what, don't tell me the fluffy stuff. Show me how I can hit something. There's nothing woo-woo. It's too woo-woo. And, but I started to feel energy, in this Qigong training. I could feel a buzz between my hands. There's an electromagnetic energy in our bodies. And for the first time, I felt it. And I knew that if I kept training in this, just maybe I could heal my back. So that's really the core reason that I got into it. And I know you and I have done a little bit of training together when I was out there in San Diego. We were tapping and breathing and doing all this stuff. And it really energizes you, but it does way more than that. It can heal things that are broken. And so that's what got me on the path to that.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I remember when I saw you last, you said that something about the immune system being bulletproof if energy could kind of flow freely throughout the body's meridians. Tell me more about that.
Well, the body is made up of these channels. The ancients mapped them out. They discovered that there were these little channels, that life force, chi, the Indians call it prana. There's some natural scientists today that say they're little tiny crystals that move through the body. I don't know. I know that I feel it. I know it's very hard to see this kind of stuff. Some people say they see energy. But these ancient wise men, they created a map. And so today we have acupuncture, and they understand where to stimulate different points on the body and get this healthy flow of energy. Think of it like little rivers that energy flows through, just like your veins in your body that flows the lymph and the blood. We have life force channels, and when they get blocked, we get sick, or they can get blocked from stress, right? So think of a stream where a log has fallen down, and now the water's getting backed up on one side and it's depleted on the other side. That water, when it doesn't flow, gets stagnant, right? And we need healthy flow. Well, our energy can get stagnant or depleted when it's not flowing. So the acupuncturists, the Tai Chi masters, the QiGong masters, the yogis, the meditators, they all work with this energy flow. And so their whole thing is, how do we open them up? So maybe you're not into acupuncture, but you can do it with your body. You can tap, you can squeeze and release, you can flow and move. Qigong means activating energy or working with energy. So you're incorporating movements, slow, gentle movements, with very mindful, deep diaphragmatic breath. And true Qigong has a mindset incorporated into it where you're getting out of thinking and into flow state. And you might even be visualizing energy. Some people like to see it as like a golden white light energy. They'll close their eyes while they're practicing. They get in these real moving meditation states, and you feel it opening and flowing. And it's like your battery gets charged, and you feel very full of life. And that's the reason I said the immune system gets stronger, is because the healthy flow of qi raises the vitality of the body. And it's a very deep ancient art. It's at least 5,000 years old.
Wow. This is awesome.
It's cool stuff.
So in your opinion, then, what do you think the leading cause of cancer and disease is?
Too many mind. Too many mind. You remember the movie Last Samurai? Mm-hmm. And there was a moment in the movie where, I forget Tom Cruise's character's name, but he's living in the samurai village, and he's being trained by the master samurai there. And they're using these wooden bokken swords, and every time the samurai is besting him, kicking his butt. And Tom had made friends with a little kid, and the little kid was over to the side, and he's yelling, "Too many mind, too many mind," which basically means you're overthinking it. And I think in our culture today, we're so bombarded with information overload, technological overload. We're stressed out beyond belief. And I don't think our brains and our bodies have evolved enough to be able to handle this much stress. And I really think that most illnesses are stress related. I know in my circumstance as a young boy, all those conditions that were happening in my body, those were mind-body, psychosoma, mind-body related. The human body is capable of healing. It's self-regenerating, a self-healing machine. But if stress is in the way, you do not have a healing environment for the body to be in optimal health. So I think that, and you could probably throw in there a lot of the electromagnetic frequencies our bodies are facing, cell phone towers, cell phones themselves, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, power lines, microwaves. It's disrupting the body's energy system and energy signature. So we all come into this life with a very healthy body, and we heal very quickly. But as you see, as people get older, they age way too fast. They don't heal properly anymore. So what's going on? I mean, we could look under many lenses. I would definitely look under the food. We eat crappy food. Americans have a sad diet, right? And standard American diet, sad. We don't move the body enough. We're not getting enough sleep. The chi is not flowing, and we're stressed out. That's a cocktail for disaster.
Absolutely. So what do you think about supplements then? What are your thoughts on supplements?
I take them every day, but I take very high quality supplements, things that I know my body can assimilate and digest. I don't like spending money on my body if it's not going to get to benefit from it. And you and I both know that a lot of supplements out there are garbage, but there are some that are highly effective. And you've got to be trained, and you've got to have someone like yourself who knows what they're doing to recommend things that the body can absorb in the right doses. And I don't think they're the end all. I do think that live foods are very important, where you're naturally getting the micronutrients that the body needs from the juices and the smoothies and the salads. And if you can look at that food and you can recognize it, you're probably okay to go, you know? Mm-hmm. But I do like to supplement, and I also think digestive enzymes are real important, because a lot of our foods today have been grown in soils that are depleted of the natural enzymes, so our system's having a very hard time digesting the food and actually not getting the life force out of it. So those are some of the supplements I think are important. The digestive enzymes, very important.
What about like the Ayurvedic herbs and like your, like your shilajits and your ashwagandhas and whatnot? What do you think about those?
I'm not deep in the Ayurvedic system. I know that there are masters out there that have understood the power of these plants, and they know how to use them. They're medicinal. They're medicines. And I think if somebody knows how to read your body right and be able to test it and assess what you need, then they'll probably be able to plug you into the right thing. But just throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks is a bad idea. So if I was going to be using Ayurvedic herbs, I'd be training or learning or seeing a master of that. Awesome. I'm always about go to the top of the top. I mean, you're a teacher, you're a trainer, you're a coach, and you've had coaches probably throughout your whole life. And you've probably been very blessed to have great coaches, right? Mm-hmm. Well, some people have crappy coaches, and they settle for less than the best. I don't think we should settle. Don't mess around. Find the best people you possibly can, because you deserve the best training. I think that's what's awesome about doing a call like this, educating and opening people up to the fact that there's some stuff that they maybe haven't been exposed to. Find the best of the best.
Yeah, it kind of seems like most traditional doctors, in a sense, have crappy coaches, because you take a smart person and you teach them the wrong thing, they get really good at doing the wrong thing.
Yes, they do, and then they hold on to it for dear life. It's taken too much time and they can't let it go. I think we should all be humble students. White belt mindset. When I first walked into that dojo, I didn't know anything, and I was able to learn very quickly because I came in knowing nothing. Today I want to be the same way, and I'll give you a cool little analogy of the black belt. This is really cool. So the whole idea of the belt was that it was designed to hold your uniform on, and you were given a white belt, which represented a beginner in a state of innocence, and you would train and you would train and you would train, and over time, from tying your belt over and over and over, it would get dirty. And the more you train, the more dedicated and committed you were, that belt would get grass and dirt and blood and all kinds of stuff. It would get so dirty it appeared to be brown. And if anybody had a dirty, dirty belt, you knew they'd been working the craft. And so they were probably like high-level student. Well, somebody who stayed the path for a long time, that belt was so freaking dirty it appeared to be black. And that's really the essence of what a black belt is. But there's another piece that's pretty cool. The black belts have to pay it forward. You've got to give it back, just like you're doing right now. You're taking everything you've learned, you're sharing the love. Well, if the black belt stays the path long enough, the belt starts to fray, and that dirt starts to fall off. And from the inside, you start to see threads of white coming back out. And it's representing that you're completing a journey. You're going from white belt all the way back to white belt. And when you look at a beginner, and you look at a master level, expert level person, they both kind of have the look on their face of, I don't know anything. Because that's how a master should be. I'm so open. I'm so open. I'm ready to learn always. So that's really how I like to approach my life.
I love it. That's great. That's an awesome philosophy. And I love the analogy.
Isn't that cool? Yeah.
So what have been some of your best client success stories?
So we had a recent Facebook comment that just came in from somebody going through my 10-minute Qigong course. And so you asked about some of the testimonials, experiences, and some of the best ones. This one was just fresh. It just happened. And this person was saying that they've got a Qigong teacher who they've been seeing for 6 years. And their teacher is always saying that it's going to take many, many years before you really can feel that high-level Qi. And I'm out there saying, you can life hack the system a little bit if you have the right information, you apply it in the right order, and the right sequencing of things, you can feel the Qi right away. And this person reported that they went through the 10-minute routine and their whole body was buzzing and tingling and their hands were lit up. And I love testimonials like that because it works. And I need to know that people are having these breakthroughs. But what I wanted to tell you also was, it was about 8 years ago. This was a very beautiful story. There was a gentleman who came into my martial arts school, into my dojo, and he walked in on a cane. And he was going blind and deaf on one side and losing all motor control on that same side of his body. And he had just been diagnosed with MS, multiple sclerosis. And it's a very scary prognosis. And he was told he would probably, like many, end up in a wheelchair. And this guy was determined that that wasn't going to become his outcome. And I think that right there says a lot for who heals and who doesn't. Is, do you believe that you can get through it and you can be healed? Now, I had recently healed my body using the power of Qigong, which I'd shared, and this guy is saying to me, I want to become a black belt, but I've got this condition. And he's on a cane, and I'm thinking, how are we going to do this? But you've got to stay open-minded, and I'm like, okay, I'm all in. Let's do this. And you've heard the story, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. Well, I think the same is true, that when the teacher is ready, the right students appear. And I think this guy showed up in my life to help me really find out how powerful Qigong can be. So we started him on a routine immediately of doing Qigong, moving meditations. I started giving him visualizations. And he was consistent. He came to every single class. He never missed a class. And he kept moving his body and training, and eventually he didn't need the cane anymore.
Wow.
He kept going. He kept going. 5.5 years later, I think it was July 17th or July 12th, he tested for his black belt. I wish I could show you guys a picture of this guy. He's kicking the bag, and he's almost like cutting this thing in half. He became one of my most amazing black belts. His name is Tommy Schultz. You guys should look him up. He's an incredible inspiration for people who have MS. I don't know how he did it. You know, physiologically, he says to me he thinks he rewired his brain because the nerve sheath, the myelin sheath, is attacked by MS. And maybe, just maybe, somehow he created new healthy sheaths or other ways to map around the ones that were being attacked. Whatever it is, it to me is a beautiful miracle. And the newspaper came and wrote a story on him, and he's a teacher now. He's a sensei. I just think it's the most amazing thing, man. So
that's awesome.
There's lots of stories like this. I was on a call yesterday. I do a lot of interviews, and somebody called in, was going through my yoga system that incorporates a lot of Qigong, and she was in an accident where she was paralyzed, and she's doing my program, and she says she's getting her mobility back. So magical things can happen, you know, magical stuff.
So what are your thoughts then on the fads like P90X and CrossFit?
Well, I think different strokes for different folks. You know, some people I think it's a real good fit, and for other folks it's not such a good fit. I've had people come in that have been very injured doing some of those things. I like to do adult friendly. Some of that stuff's not adult friendly. I have some folks that are coming from injury or a very sedentary lifestyle. Not that they shouldn't be doing those things, but um, a fad is a fad is a fad, and everybody jumps on. And I think some people get incredible results from that stuff, and good on it. But it's not something that I do. I like a different approach. Mine is a little bit more internal. I find that I like to incorporate a lot more meditation and yoga. I know P90X has got some yoga. I can't. I haven't taken their classes, so I really can't speak to it. But I can tell you what I've seen from other people. I've seen great results and not great results. So I'm a little bit split down the middle on it. But I just go with what works for me. And my approach is very mindful and very conscious of what your body needs, or you can hurt yourself and then you're out of the game, and it isn't worth it.
So what books and resources would you recommend to the audience to find the best stuff out there?
Man, there's so much information. You know, it really depends where the person's at and what they're wanting to experience. You know, I I always say I don't know anything about what anyone needs, because I really don't. Somebody can be going through a very hard time, and that's exactly what they need to have their breakthrough, like I did. And so, based on where you're at, I will give you different suggestions. I can tell you things that have been very helpful to me. As a young man, I read a book called The Way of the Peaceful Warrior. For your mindset, this is an incredibly powerful book. It will inspire you. It'll show you somebody, a great story written by a man named Dan Millman, of somebody on the path, you know, the spiritual warrior, if you will, an athlete, someone who gets injured, somebody who wants to throw in the towel, that finds a path, finds a teacher, and keeps going and becomes transformed. I think we all need to read a good book like that from time to time. I think Biology of Belief is an incredible book by Bruce Lipton. I would say dig into that. Molecules of Emotion by Candace Pert. Understand how your brain and your body work together. Understand how the neuropeptide release is an addictive thing, that your body craves certain emotions and feelings. That'll break through some stuff. If you're in a lot of pain and you've been seeing a doctor, or you've got chronic pain that just won't seem to go away, you can't make sense of it, read Mind Body Prescription by Dr. John E. Sarno. That is a breakthrough book right there. If you're more spiritual and you want to have a spiritual awakening, read Autobiography of a Yogi and study everything by Paramahansa Yogananda. These are books that have impacted me, and those just off the top of my head, I would say read that. Read stuff by a guy named Peter Ragnar, an incredible natural life scientist. Guy's in his 70s, and he's ripped, and he's amazing, and he's just a great soul. Read stuff by John Assaraf. He's a very cool guy. Stuff like that.
So with, iPhone 6 coming out, with the Apple Watch coming out, do you think these new health applications are going to help or hurt us when it comes to, increasing our health and well-being?
I hope they help. Technology's supposed to help us, not freak us out and stress us out. I'm on the other side of that with a lot of my clients. They are very non-tech savvy. I tend to draw a lot of people in their 50s, 60s, and 70s, and that stuff overwhelms them. And then there's the new generation. They're like, bang, 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 got it. And I think it's helping them. You got to make sure it's a good fit for you. Can it? Man, yeah, it can help. I use these apps all the time. I think they're awesome. But different strokes for different folks.
Exactly. So really, really good stuff today that you talked about. But what's one simple thing you would recommend our listeners start with today to improve their well-being?
Breathe. Just chill out and breathe deep in your belly. You can do it anytime, any place, anywhere, and it's free. It's free. It's the #1 elixir that nobody's not drinking it enough. Drink your breath, man. Take some time. Listen to it. Make a sound when you breathe. Elicit the relaxation response. Calm your amygdala down. Slow down to cortisol dumping. Yeah. Lose weight by breathing. I mean, just get meditated. Breathe at the stoplight. Breathe when you're freaking out. Breathe when you're going to bed. That's my #1 elixir, man.
I love it. That's great. No, it's easy. Anyone can do that.
Yes, we can. It's so close, it's right under our nose, we miss it.
Literally.
Literally.
So great stuff today, Tristan. Thanks again for joining us today on Extrascribe Radio.
It's my pleasure, man. Thank you for all the good work you're doing.
Thank you. Yeah, I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, man.
If you haven't already, get your custom workout program by downloading the Extrascribe app from the iTunes App Store today.